Hey guys, welcome back to Java Technology Solutions. So I'm trying to keep up with doing at least a video a week. And last week I did a video on basically the all-in-one step-by-step Wazoo 4.1 deployment. And so today I'm going to do just a straight-up Elasticsearch minimal security type deal. So basically, as soon as you install Elasticsearch and Kibana and FileBeat, and you get all that stuff configured, and you start forwarding logs from whatever host machine to your Elasticsearch server, at that point you got logs coming in, but you don't have any security yet. And so at this point I'm going to go ahead and show you how to apply minimal security, and I'm going to put another video together where you're doing a little more security and a little more security, and then eventually you have it secured all the way from Elasticsearch all the way to the beats. So without further ado, we're going to hop right in here. And as you can see, I've already have my little text document here that has the commands on how to pull it down, so we're going to go ahead and jump into that. So the first thing I'm going to do is do apt-get install curl, and then I always put attack Y on the end of that just so it doesn't add, gotta be root. Stand by 1 second here. Alright, so let's try that again. Put attack Y on the end of that so that it's saying yes to any questions that it pops up. I'm going to copy over the GPG key. I'm going to enter on that. Alright, and then what you're looking for is that OK right there. And then there's the list. And then last but not least, you're going to do one more apt-get update. Alright guys, so once that happens, we've done this several times at this point, just building out our elk stack or Elasticsearch nodes. And so what we're going to do next is do an apt-get install, and I'm just going to go ahead and type them all out at one time. So we're going to go ahead and grab them all. It's going to take a second for all this to download and install, so if you need to go grab a drink or whatever, go for it. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes there, and it's going to go ahead and download all the components that we need. So feel free to skip ahead in the video if you want to. Alright, so that happened a little bit quicker than I thought it was going to happen, but that's okay. Alright, so it's already downloaded all the components. So now what we're going to do first things first is go ahead and set up Elasticsearch. So my IP address is currently the 10.1.1.1.14. So I'm going to use nano to go look into that YAML file. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you we're not doing a cluster at the moment, so we're going to leave that alone. Go ahead and configure the node name. I generally just go ahead and make it whatever host that name I have. So in this case it's labseam tag1. And then go ahead and fill out the IP address. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you as well that I'm using a DHCP address right now. If you're doing this for a production environment, highly recommend doing a static IP. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and use the DHCP address that it gave me. All right. And then once again, so can't remember off the top of my head if this is required or not, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in there anyway. And you always put your IP address right here. All right, in just a moment, I'm gonna go ahead and start this the way it is, but in just a moment we're gonna come back and plug in XPack. So I'm gonna go ahead and write this and then exit out of it. I'm going to do systemctl enable. Oh, actually, sorry. We gotta do the daemon reload. and go ahead and enable it as well. I always love mistyping Elasticsearch. I always miss the S. Alright, so it's going to go ahead and create a system link to it. And I'm coming over here and do start. Alright, and generally this takes a couple seconds, so just give it a moment. And while we're waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the setup page of elasticsearch.co, and that way we can go ahead and start looking at those instructions too. I'm operating inside of a virtual machine, so it's a little slow, give or take. Alright, and what you can do after you hit the start command, you do a status, and it'll say, yay, it's up, okay. Alright, so while my web browser is taking a minute to come up, there it goes. We're going to go ahead and look at the Kibana YAML file as well. So right here, go ahead and use the default port of 5601. And I'm not sure if I've mentioned in a previous video before, but right here, you can leave it on localhost. I always use 000 because that means listening on every interface. In this case, it's fine, not a big deal. And then we'll be coming back to the part right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, where it says Elasticsearch username password. We'll be coming back to that in a moment as well. So I'm going to go ahead and uncomment the Elasticsearch host and target the IP address of this server. Alright, so you have that one right there, and then go ahead and Control O to write it, and then Control X to exit out. And then last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and do the configuration for FileBeat as well. And always remember, whenever you're looking at FileBeat, always remember to set this guy right here to true. That way it's enabled. And I said this is going to be a quick video, but this is obviously taking a minute. Alright, so right here, I'm going to go ahead and change your Elasticsearch output to the IP address you need. Alright, another thing I'm going to go ahead and do is write the actual dashboards in. That way that part's done too. And you can also enable multiple components at the same time if you want. And I'm just going to go ahead and up arrow it and go back and then change this enable to start, so it starts everything up. Alright, and then you can also go back and do a status just in case, just to be sure. Alright, so that looks good. Alright, so now we're going to do FileBeat setup to go ahead and run the setup for the dashboards. Alright, so once this gets done loading, well actually we can probably go ahead and just let that load. I'm going to go ahead and go to navigate to the actual web browser. So we're going to do HTTP. Well, I can type in the right URL. There we go. And then we're going to do 5601. Alright, so this is going to load basically your dashboard or your stuff in Kibana, and this is with no security at all. So in a moment we're going to go back and see it's going to pop up all this stuff in the side. Just hit mute, don't show again, dismiss, and I'm going to go ahead and navigate to set up minimal security for Elasticsearch. And survey says right there. And make sure you're on the right version whenever you're doing this stuff, just so you're doing the right thing. And right here you can check it out. It's the 7.14, so you're good. Alright, so you see this expect security enabled. Alright, so let's go ahead and copy that and put it in the YAML file config. We already know Elasticsearch is up and running, so let's do nano etsy Elasticsearch and then Elasticsearch.yaml. And then you can do page down on your keyboard and it makes it a little bit faster. So I'm going to right click that in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and write that and exit back out and do systemctl restart Elasticsearch. Try not to miss the S there. And you give that just a moment to come back up. And while that's restarting, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit. So if you only have one node, you can do the discovery type single node. If you have multiple nodes you're trying to work on, then put that single node in there. Alright, so you're going to get this error message. So what you need to do is do systemctl status Elasticsearch and hit that, and it's going to say failed. And then it's kind of hard to see if you, depending on what SSH client you're using. But it says you must address the points described in the following, and it's basically saying that you need to enable SSL. So what you'll do is you'll go ahead and grab XPack security transport SSL enabled, and then I'm just going to go navigate right back to my YAML file, and I'm going to go down to the bottom, and now I'm going to right click in there, and then I'm going to hit true or type true, and then write that, and then exit back out, and then hit restart again. Alright, so we're to a point now where we've installed all the components, we've put in XPack security enabled, and now we just put in the transport SSL enabled as well, and we restarted it. In a moment, I'm going to go ahead, as soon as this restarts, I'm going to go ahead and turn off Kibana and turn off FileBeat, and then go ahead and generate passwords. If I'm going really fast, I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to make sure I cover it all in an adequate amount of time. So right now we just restarted, so let's do systemctl status Elasticsearch. Alright, so that's up and running. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say systemctl stop Kibana and FileBeat. Alright, and then we're going to navigate to user share Elasticsearch bin. And then here you'll see all these fun guys that you can use. And we're going to do Elasticsearch, and then we're going to do setup passwords, and we're going to do auto. And once you hit enter, it's going to ask you a question. You're going to say yes. Alright. So it's going to auto-generate all those passwords for you. And what I would tell you to do is go ahead and copy all this out of your SSH client and paste it into whatever notepad you have. I always use Notepad++. It's just easier to use. Alright, so what you're going to do next is you see this Kibana system and the Elasticsearch user. You're going to use those two to basically do basic authentication. Alright, so what I'm going to do Kibana, or excuse me, I'm going to copy that password. And then I'm going to navigate to the Kibana YAML file. Scroll down here to the bottom. Well, not to the bottom, to about the midsection. And I'm going to uncomment this guy and uncomment this guy. And then the username is already there, so I'm just going to backspace that and paste that in there. And then do Control O and write that file. And then I'm going to go back to grab that user password, copy that, and then similar type deal. I'm going to go to the filebeat.yaml. I'm going to scroll down. Alright. And right here where you see username and password, go ahead and uncomment those guys. And then paste that password into where the change me is. Alright. Control O, write that file. Exit back out of there. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Sometimes that does happen. Alright, so yeah, so you can do the auto, which auto generates your password for you, or you can do interactive, where you create your own passwords. Alright, so we've already put the password into the Kibana.yaml file, where we had the Kibana system. And what you want to do next is you also want to plug it into your key store. So going back, I'm going to go ahead and drag him over here a little bit. Alright, so now what we're going to do, so currently we're in the Elasticsearch /bin directory area. We're going to do cd user share Kibana /bin, and that's going to put us here. And then if you want to do a print working directory, this is where we're at. So go ahead and do /Kibana, and then do attack key store. And then you're going to type in create or paste create. And then you want to override the existing, yes. Alright, and then you want to go ahead and rerun that command, but instead do add. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. And it's going to ask you for the, make sure you put in the Kibana system password right here. So let's go back and recopy that. Copy, paste, enter, and then now it's in there. All right, so once you're done with that, go ahead and restart Kibana. All right. So we already have Elasticsearch up and running. So let's go ahead and do systemctl. We're going to do a status just to see. You don't have to do this, but you can just check it out. So currently it's inactive. So let's go ahead and do systemctl start Kibana. All right, do another status. That's good to go. So now we know it's up and running. And then go ahead and do a systemctl start filebeat. And you already have your username and password in the filebeat.yaml, which is what we did a moment ago. So you can go ahead and do a systemctl status filebeat as well. And then what's really important to look at is the info logs. Go ahead and maximize this out. If at any point in time you start seeing errors or warnings, just be mindful of those. But this is generally what you're supposed to see in this output. Is it saying it's loading, it's starting, everything looks good so far, and nothing's showing up that looks bad at the moment. All right, so let's go ahead and navigate back to our Elasticsearch or Kibana page. Let's go ahead and hit refresh. And at this point, it should be asking you for authentication. Bam, there you go. All right, so at this point, what you'll do is you'll go ahead and come back here and recopy your Elastic user password. Type in Elastic for the user, and then go ahead and paste in that password. And congratulations, guys, you officially put basic authentication onto your Elasticsearch node. And then we've already done the filebeat setup as well, so you should be able to go in here and look at dashboards and see your basic dashboards. Okay, it didn't like that apparently. So what we're going to do is go back and do that again. I guess it didn't finish whenever it was loading last time. All right, so I'm gonna let that go ahead and do its thing. If you want to, you can go and navigate down to the stack monitoring. You can choose to download and use metric beat, which I've done recently, which is pretty nice, or you can just do the self monitoring. So it says it's set to false, so just turn on monitoring. It'll set it to true. Let's go back here and see if it finished. It did not finish yet, so we're waiting on that. But we can see that we are importing data from FileB on the local host. Alright, so that was good. So it just finished. So this is doing its thing, but I'm going to go ahead and interrupt it because that's not what we're looking for at the moment. We'll go ahead and navigate to the dashboards. And here's your dashboards. And so let's type in Syslog right here. And then all this stuff is what we've already been over in past videos, is where we're in here, we're looking at stuff, and it looks good. Let's look at the syslog. I'm not seeing anything in there at the moment for some reason. Not to get off in a big troubleshooting session, but I'm just curious. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Discover. I'm wondering if it's just not putting out a bunch of stuff right now. but we've definitely got some log input. We'll go and restart FileBeat just in case. Or actually, what we can do first is we can go back to the status FileBeat and make sure there's nothing going on. Okay. Oh, you know what I didn't do? So this is always fun to show, just to make sure that do modules list and make sure it's okay. So here's the mistake I made. Okay, I enjoy making mistakes because I can show people where I messed up. So right here, there's nothing enabled. So what you need to do is do FileBeat modules enable and then system, and then go ahead and do systemctl restart FileBeat. There we go. All right, go back to the status. Reloading, awesome. Let's go back to the dashboards. Refresh this guy. And we should be seeing something coming here in a moment. I'm going to navigate back to the stack monitoring real quick, see if that went anywhere. Alright, so now this right here is showing correctly where you can see your node. And this is more stuff that you can add in later on. I'm going to do the later videos on that. But anyway, so let's go back to dashboard real quick, just so it can't make me out to be a liar. Okay, there we go. So now we're getting file input, which is what we wanted to see. Alright guys, but anyway, sorry to get off into a few minutes of troubleshooting, but I know, like I said, it's always good to see that stuff. But anyway, so this is adding basic authentication to go back to the main point to kind of reiterate what we did. So we installed Elasticsearch, Kibana, and FileBeat, and then we went back and we auto-generated passwords with the inside the Elasticsearch bin with the Elasticsearch setup passwords script basically. And then after that, we went back and we told Kibana, said, here's the Kibana system password that Elasticsearch generated. And then we added that to the key store as well. And then we went back to FileBeat and we said, FileBeat, we need you to use Elasticsearch username and the Elasticsearch password so that you can send us files. And that's basically what we did. That is basic authentication or minimal security, as Elasticsearch puts it on their website. But anyway, guys, this is for educational purposes only, by the way, and I'm in no way affiliated with Elasticsearch or any other vendor mentioned in this video. This is just saying, hey, if you're having a small problem with getting security started or getting metrics started, here's how, just pointing you in the right direction. Here's how to do it. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it, share it, comment on it, let me know the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm always for constructive criticism. But anyway, thanks guys, and y'all have a good day.